Hello, and welcome to Should Have Listened to My Mother. I'm Jackie Tantillo. This is the final episode of 2020. What a year it has been. And this is the first year of this podcast for me. So it's really exciting to know that I'm going forward with my next season. Starting in January 2021, I already have a number of guests lined up. And I can't wait for you to join me. So I thank you first and foremost for listening and sharing these stories with your friends on social media. Lots to learn, lots of really great guests. Again, it is hard to imagine that this year is just about over. It seems like it's a blink of an eye, and yet that's the farthest thing from the truth about this year. I am the host of this podcast. I've been in broadcasting a long time, but this is my first podcast, and I've really set out to capture the voices of our mothers, both yours and mine, and I hope I've accomplished that. I started working on these interviews a couple of years ago, actually 2018, and there were delays in getting it published on my original host site, but something told me to keep plugging along. I had the opportunity and the good fortune to push forward and to continue believing in this project, and I'm really glad that I did. So again, without you, it wouldn't be possible. So again, I'm saying thank you. And as we say goodbye to 2020, I want to say thank you to all of my guests who were gracious enough to share their relationship with their mother, opening up and telling stories they've never told before, and that is not easy. And once they kind of understand where I'm coming from and the objective to share these stories and how we can learn from all these stories, then they become more relaxed and they start to trust me, and I really, really appreciate that. Thank you for sharing the pain and the sorrow, the love and happiness, the inspiration and motivation, the positives and negatives of the most complex and important relationship most of us will ever have. It's amazing the influence one woman can have on you. It's a big role to fill, and hopefully they get it right as our mom. If not, there are still lessons to learn and the failures, and hopefully we find the clarity to see those as well. As I often ask my guests, are you who you are today because of or in spite of your mother? Regardless, if your mother showed up for the job of raising you and or your siblings, most of us turned out okay. Right? Keeping my fingers crossed. We turned out okay. I've had a number of guests share their story of raising themselves in spite of their mother, and that is most likely an unbearable scenario for any child to have to overcome. I certainly hope that there are enough angels out there in the world to help those needy children then and now and in the future. I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes sharing some stories. Many poets and authors first come to mind. They have complicated relationships with their mothers from time to time, including like Roald Dahl. Starting at a young age, he would always have to start his letters basically apologizing first for anything he did wrong, and justification kind of came next, concern for the family, and then the real ask, which he always treading, stepping on his tippy toes, being careful what to ask for, to be conservative about anything. Mark Twain, the same. His mom apparently had a tendency to write letters to him on a series of scraps of paper, like little pieces of scrap paper. In a letter, he admonished his mom to write on whole letter sheets, and he says, "Is paper scarce in St. Louis?" But his mother would continue as she damn well pleases, he said apparently in a quote. So Twain, he decided to do the exact same thing back to her from scraps of paper from letters that she had written to him. And he would just put them all together and kind of return the letter in kind. I've never done that. I never did that with my mom. Then again, things can get complicated. The French novelist Marcel Proust apparently was a tantrum-throwing kind of guy, and he would always write these lengthy letters to his parents or his mother, and then she was like, "Oh, My baby son, it's okay. And he wasn't even a baby. My dear son, it's okay. Get more sleep next time, and make excuses for ridiculous behavior. And I came across a book, which was kind of cool. It's called Writers and Their Mothers, and it's edited by Dale Salwack. And he's a professor, English professor in Southern California, from what I found out. And it's contributors that are world-famous authors and academics. And they describe relationships with their mothers. Again, sometimes complicated, sometimes of true positive influence. There's an author by the name of, a novelist by the name of Diane Cooper, who put this list together. 10 signs you're raised by a strong mom. Number 1, she was always encouraging you to speak your mind. She doesn't tell you what to think, but how to think. She tells you how important education is, no matter what, whether you're a boy or a girl. She teaches you to be your own competitor. She values financial independency. She gives you confidence and self-assurance to be who you want to be. She teaches you empathy. She shows you how to bring people together. She shows you how to be fiercely independent. And number 10, she tells you either to surrender or to change it. I guess my mom, Linda, taught us a lot of those things, but it was more subtle, but she got her point across. And we know the significance, the importance of words, and everyone has a different way of teaching it. And just the last little note that I wanted to talk about, another brilliant mother, a leader, an author, poet that I wanted to talk about for just a minute is Maya Angelou. She was born into poverty in St. Louis. She was raised in rural Arkansas initially by her grandmother, and years later then her mother wanted her back in her life. Apparently, she originally called her mom Lady because she didn't look like a mom. She looked like a lady who wore lipstick and listened to music and liked to dance a lot. She didn't remind her at all of her grandmother, who she wound up calling Mom. Eventually, their relationship changed, and her mom's name is Vivian Baxter, and she played a huge part in Maya Angelou's life. Maya has written beautiful poems about mothers and motherhood. And there's one quote where she said, "I've learned that whenever I decide something with an open heart, I usually make the right decision. I've learned that even when I have pains, I don't have to be one. I've learned that every day you should reach out and touch someone. People love a warm hug or just a friendly pat on the back. I've learned that I still have a lot to learn. I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel." That's a great quote, I think. Maya Angelou. So on that note, let's end this year on a good note and carry all that inspiration and all that we've learned and all that we appreciate into 2021. Should Have Listened to My Mother is really, really appreciative of all of your support. And I, as the host, Jackie Tantillo, I wish you all the best for the upcoming year, and may all your dreams and wishes be fulfilled. If you're interested in being a guest on the show, email me at jackie@shouldhavelistenedtomymother. Or you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Should Have Listened to My Mother or Jackie Tantillo. I look forward to seeing you in 2021, and say hello to your mom.